Hi and welcome back to Run the Robsons. Today we're going to look at our top 5 mistakes that we've made with the caravan. Some of them quite significant, some of them quite costly because of the petrol costs of forgetting things we shouldn't have done. Hopefully this will be an enjoyable video for you and it'll give you a little bit of a laugh at our expense. Please consider pressing the subscribe button below and the little bell notification. And hopefully, if you haven't already, give our video a like anyway, because it'll make YouTube think our video is better than it is, but that's not really a problem. So hopefully you enjoy our top 5 mistakes we've made with our caravan. You can have a little bit of a laugh at our expense. Caravan mistake number 5. This is quite a common one that I imagine a lot of people have done, and that is leaving something that you need for the caravan trip in your house. We've probably done this several times, but most of the time we can get away with it and we just say that's a mistake, we'll leave it till next time to try and pick up the things that we should have got the first time round. However, on this occasion we hadn't had the caravan very long, and I think both me and Lucy had assumed that the other person had done the job. And what happened was we got about 3 or 4 miles away from the house, then suddenly decided, oh, have we brought the duvet? Because the duvet, when we first got the caravan, we had the same duvet for the home bed as we did use in the caravan. So we drove down, and then I started saying to Lucy, well, did you bring it? And she went, well, no, did you not bring it? So that went back a few times, and eventually we decided that nobody had brought it. Now, if you've never driven a large caravan and car, you might not realise how easy it isn't to turn around, or how hard it is to turn that caravan around. Our car and our caravan are well over 12 metres, about 12.5 metres, so you can't just do a quick U-turn. So I had to find the nearest turn off, come off the turn off, go around the roundabout and back. So it added about an extra 20-25 minutes on our journey. So it was not the end of the world, and I'm sure lots of people have done similar. So for us, number 5 was leaving our duvet and pillows in the house rather than taking them with us. Number 4 for us was deciding to put the awning up in a slight bit of wind. It wasn't mega windy, but it was every so often you got a bit of a breeze. So we just got a brand new Sun Camp awning at 220 air that we still actually have never put on the caravan as of yet, because we're in lockdown currently. And I decided I wanted to put it up. Obviously, like a boy with a toy, decided I wanted to put it up quickly, get it sorted, and then see what it was like. So started putting it up. The girls and Lucy was inside the caravan, and it started getting the odd gust of wind. So I thought that's okay. So I put a couple of pegs in, continued doing the awning, and then suddenly the wind got a bit stronger. I was like, panicking a bit, so I shouted Lucy to come. But unfortunately, by the time I'd started taking it back down the caravan, the wind had picked it a bit more, and the peg just had to whack the side of the caravan. So I was a bit gutted. I thought there wasn't that much damage, but actually I'll show you a picture now. So not an ideal situation, so we need to think about in the future about not putting the awning up, or making sure that we've got everything ready straight away to go in quickly, maybe like a drill in the pegs to make sure it's all quickly in, and that means it's less likely to pick itself up later on. So number 4 for us was decided to put the awning up when it was a bit windy. Not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. Now I couldn't decide whether this should be number 3 or number 2, so we're going to put it at number 3. Number 3 for us was when we first got our caravan, we didn't have a mover on. And it was the start of the 2nd season for us, and I still wasn't that good at manoeuvring the car and the caravan in terms of reversing it onto a pitch. I know some people get it to an art. I am very, very envious of people who can just get their caravan, they literally put it in reverse and they get it on first time. We've since invested in motor movers, which makes life so much easier, and we don't argue quite as much. So what happened was we got the caravan into the site, and we decided which pitch we would go on, because we were going to leave it there for a week, so we wanted to make sure it was a good pitch. Found a pitch we liked, and essentially had to reverse onto the pitch, but the pitch itself was over grass and was a bit of an incline, and it was around, I'd say, maybe 7 metres from the road bit to the actual where the pitch was. The pitch itself was actually gravel. So I thought, well, it's okay. What we'll do is, to make it easier, rather than have to come back and reverse exactly that, I thought what I'll do is I'll pull forward on the other side onto the grass, which is down a slight bank, and I'll reverse it on, because that'll make it so much easier, give you a bit more manoeuvrability, a bit more space. I've got a big XC90, it'll be absolutely fine. So you can guess what happened next. Puts the caravan down, gets it straightened up a little bit, starts reversing, spinning wheels, spinning wheels, spinning wheels. So got a bit frustrated, as you can imagine, really, really panicking. Got the kids out of the car. Then I had another go and it just wasn't. It was just spinning like there was no tomorrow. I think there was a couple of things affecting that. Obviously being on grass and maybe my back tyres weren't as good as they should have been. 4x4 system, but for some reason it just wasn't quite kicking in to actually stop the wheels from spinning. So on that occasion, what happened is fortunate that a couple of people saw we were stuck. We unhitched it, but then the jockey wheel decided to fall, so when he dropped it on its A-frame, but fortunately we saved it and it didn't drop on its A-frame, got it back in again, and it was a very muddy affair. And eventually the owner had a big pick up a Ford Ranger, and once you got it back onto the road, managed to put it onto the pitch. So really big thank you to them. It was no bother getting it off the pitch. The car was absolutely fine, but it was a bit embarrassing that basically half of all the touring pitches on the site had to come and give us a hand shifting the caravan. We're really grateful for that, and it just shows that the caravan community is a really excellent community that will help you out if you get stuck. So number 3 was trying to get onto a pitch, going on the mud, and then getting absolutely stuck. Number 2 for us was on the very first time we took the caravan away, and I'm sure that everybody's had a bit of a mistake on the first time we took the caravan away. We went to a site called Brompton-on-Swale and we were put on forward. So we put the car so far up the grass, it was absolutely bone dry, so it was spot on, then unhitched it, and the site warden helped us pull the caravan so that we were front facing towards the river bit where the girls would go and play, so spot on. When we came to leave, obviously what we had to do is we were having to try and manoeuvre the car around, because I was a bit proud and decided not to ask anybody. So what I did was took the handbrake off and tried to move it a bit myself. Now for some unknown reason, and I'm not sure why I've done this, I think what I'd done is I tried to check that the jockey wheel was tight. So I, in my head, had tightened the jockey wheel. Obviously hadn't. I'd actually slackened the jockey wheel, started moving the caravan. The jockey wheel decided to totally collapse. Panicking, first time, never ever been away with the caravan. The girls and Lucy's face kind of dropped, like what's going on, you know. Unfortunately, this kind of big massive bloke and a really helpful guy came over. Him and his mate were both stocking lads and said, look, do you want a hand? We literally, between the three of us, mainly them to be fair, just pulled it up, put the jockey wheel down. It was spot on, so they were really nice. And then he was like look, no son, we're not going to leave you. Pulled it round, we pulled it round, said I'm going to wait until it's all hitched up. He waited until it was all hitched up and it was absolutely sorted. So I thought we might have done some damage to that when we dropped it on its front, but actually, to be fair, it was absolutely fine. There was no other cracks, checked everything over and it looked absolutely fine. So number 2 for us was loosening the jockey wheel when you think you've tightened it, and then dropping the caravan on its A-frame. So our number 1 clanger or big caravan mistake was leaving the keys on the French caravan pitch and then driving for about 3 hours until you realised you didn't have the caravan keys. So last summer what happened was we set off from Lac d'Orient in France, which is near Troyes, and we drove up to a site called Chateau de Gansbet, which is about 20 minutes from Calais. So in total, that's just under 400 kilometres. So according to my phone, it should take about 3 hours 29 minutes, and that's with the car. With a caravan, you're probably talking somewhere in the region of nearly 5 hours with a stop. So we'd driven for about 2 to 2.5 hours. It might have been, about 2 to 2.5 hours with the caravan in the back, plodding along, and we decided eventually that we'd stop with an air. I mean, there was loads of airs that I said, no, we need to go a bit further, no, we go a bit further, no, we need to go a bit further, we'll have this rest, and then at least we can then drive on for an hour after that, and then we'll be at the site. So we pulled up to this air, we got parked perfectly, got ourselves sorted, got some stuff out the back, and then decided that we needed some things out of the caravan. So a bit of food and a few things that we'd left in the fridge there. We had a fridge inside the back of the XC90, but we wanted some stuff in there. Looked in to get the keys. Where's the keys? Where were the something keys? They weren't there. So I thought, well, that's okay, because Lucy's got a spare set of keys. And we did have a spare set of keys, but the problem was that the spare set of keys were in the caravan. So I'm thinking, we've driven for the best part of 2.5 hours, and I think about 3 hours with the caravan here. We need to find the keys. So we couldn't find the keys anyway. We literally pulled the whole car apart. We looked everywhere, under seats. We checked all the bags. We checked all our luggage, etc. It took us ages. And I thought, well, it's okay, what we can do is maybe we can kind of slide something into the caravan. We can open up the windows, and then from inside can open the door. Tried that for a bit. We didn't have anything long enough really to easily get into that and actually open up the caravan windows. So that was a no-go. So in the end, what we decided to do was, I decided that I would ring up the site to find whether the keys were there. So we rang up the site, And luckily they went there, and about 10 minutes later we rang them back and said, yep, the keys are here, you'll need to come back and get them, but you'll need to bring some ID to say that it is you. So we decided that what we'd do is to split up. Lucy and the girls would stay with the caravan, so we'd unhitch that, and we'd give them some food, and then they would stay there. For some reason that made sense at the time. And then I would drive back. And as I was driving back, the best part of 2 hours just to get back, I think, I decided that I'd think about, oh, how did the caravan keys that were in my pocket get on the floor? Well, when we'd left the pitch, or when we started to leave the pitch, we'd had a bit of problem, the jockey wheel. So we got everything sorted. We pulled the caravan forward from where it was, and then I decided to take the jockey wheel up. Now the jockey wheel, for some reason, decided it was a bit lodged, yeah? And it decided it didn't want to come up. So we tried yanking it, tried moving it forward to see if it was in a bit of a ditch. I just literally couldn't get the jockey wheel to come up. So I had to basically get on the floor, kicking it all sorts, manoeuvring it all little bits, and eventually got it up. And I think what happened was that while I was getting the jockey wheel up, my keys had fell out of the pockets and they were just on the floor. And then we normally check the pitch to make sure there's nothing there. And for some reason, we just didn't, or if we did it really quickly. So it took me the best part of 2 hours to drive back to the caravan site we've been, which was Lac d'Orient. And then when I got there, I realised that we needed probably petrol to get back to where I was with Lucy and the girls. But the problem was that I didn't have my cash card with me because Lucy had all the cards. So at this point it was probably getting a bit draining. You were like, So I thought, well, it's okay. In the UK, what you do is you can go to a petrol station, you basically fill up your petrol, and you can actually pay an Apple Pay. So I thought, well, if I spend £25, we can pay an Apple Pay, and that'll be all right. So went to a local one that was in a local town that was card only, but there was no way to pay contactless, so decided that was no good. Went into Troyes itself. There was a big supermarket there, like a Carrefour, huge place. I was probably not quite in tears, but was a bit distressed, if I'm honest. Went to the cashier, said, look, can I pay Apple Pay? No, you can't pay Apple Pay for petrol. For some reason, it's just not done in France. So I thought, okay, what we'll need to do is I'll drive up the motorway. I'll go to the biggest sort of petrol station I can find, or air. I went to a massive Shell, went into the Shell, said, look, can I pay and then pay Apple Pay? No, we're not going to do that. So I was really, really panicked. So then what I did was, which to be fair, I totally understand why people said no. I waited for a couple of English people to come and ask them if they would borrow me the money so I could pay then for some petrol to get back to my family, and said, look, if you give me your bank details, I'll transfer the money to you straight away. And to be fair, people said no, and I totally understand why people said no. I was just an absolute madman, really panicked and frantic, probably not making a lot of sense, really worried that I wasn't going to get back to the children and Lucy, who were now sat outside. So in the end, I decided, look, I'm just going to have to give it my best shot. I basically drove up at 50 miles an hour to try and save petrol. Unfortunately, I actually got back to Lucy and the girls. Now, they had been there, bless them, for the best part of 5 hours, because it took 2 hours either way. And obviously I had to drive up for a little bit, up the motorway, then turn back. And I'd been to try to get petrol and just hadn't got it. The girls were absolutely fine, to be fair to them. But by the time I got back to them in the caravan, the car was starting to run on nigh on fumes. So I'm panicking, think, well, I've got my card now, but we can't get there. Oh, there was something else. While we were there, the police arrived. So somebody had shopped us in thinking we'd left this caravan. To be fair, the police were absolutely spot on. They'd even offered to Lucy and the girl to take them up to the air and get them some food and things. But Lucy said, no, we'll be fine. My husband should be in the best part of like half an hour, 40 minutes. So got back in the caravan, drove to the next air, and you might know if you go to France, often the caravans for petrol go in the same place as the cars, and unfortunately in France you often have like lots of concrete mini, not bollards but race sections. So we got in, we got it filled up, and it was fine. But that was our number one. I know that was a bit longer, but it was an absolute nightmare. So my lesson that we learned from that is that we're never ever going to go apart. So if that happens again, we'll just drive back down as a family. I know it'll take longer with the caravan in the back, but to be fair, I think what happened was I was frantic thinking what was happening with Lucy and the girls and making sure they were okay. She was frantic worrying about me, worrying about the petrol. And so in the end it was a little bit of a nightmare, if I'm honest. But we got there and it was all sorted. So that's our number one. Losing the keys on the pitch, having to drive a round trip of 5 hours to go back and get them. So hopefully you've enjoyed our misery in this video and you've got a little bit of fun out of it. Please stay safe during this lockdown. If you don't already, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the subscribe button below and the bell notification so that you get notifications when we put new videos up. Please give our video a like, even though it was a bit of a sad one in places, or a bit of a miserable one for us personally, the things we had to endure. Or put a comment, what is the worst thing that you have done before with your caravan and got yourself in a little bit of a mistake. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.